The DA and ActionSA are in an all-out war in Tshwane over the water tanker crisis. But which side is correct? Let's find out. So over the weekend, News 24 released an expose in which they claimed that the Tshwane municipality has spent 777 million rand on water tankers in 1 year. This is approximately a 455% increase from the 140 million rand spent the year before, when the city was led by then DA Mayor Brink. So, in response to this expose, the ActionSA mayor of the city, Dr. Moya, decided to dispute this claim of News 24, and she did so in a video, which we are going to check out right here. But before we get into it, could I please remind everyone to subscribe to the channel? It's completely free, and all you've got to do is click on the subscribe button in the bottom left corner of this video. Now let's proceed.
The myth that we have spent 777 million rand. The 777 million rand, it's a screenshot that was taken from our subsystem, but it's a total value of purchase orders. And of that 777, an amount of around 156 million is either rejected, cancelled, or still being reviewed. It doesn't mean that so that amount doesn't represent actual expenditure. It basically is just a snapshot, and that's the problem when officials are leaking information, because there's...
So a big issue over here is that she is attempting to dispute the claim, but as she's said, the 156 million is still not confirmed. We don't know the truth behind that number. Basically, I understand what she's saying, that the DA made an unsubstantiated claim, but at the same time, ActionSA can't use that number to counter the claim. So that's something that we'll have to see once those figures are verified.
Start leaking wrong information. The verified figure, the actual expenditure for 2024-2025 is 621 million rands. There is an amount of 179 million rand in accruals, which means the invoices that were not paid the previous financial year, 2023-2024 financial year. Now, we can also even give you the letters where...
Okay, this confuses me a little bit, because she spoke about 179 million rand in accruals from the previous financial year. So those of you who may not be familiar with accounting, you get accrual-based accounting and then cash-based accounting. Cash-based accounting is whereby transactions are recorded at the moment that cash swaps hands. If, for example, cash was spent on water tankers in September, then that is when that expense will be recorded. When it comes to accrual-based accounting, however, it's based not when cash actually swaps hands, but when a transaction is recorded. And so this makes very little sense, because if that 170 million rand was spent by the DA-led coalition during the 2023-24 financial year, then that 179 million rand would have appeared on that year's financial records. It wouldn't be on the current year when ActionSA has been leading the coalition. And so I'm not certain if perhaps there's been a little bit of foul play when it comes to the bookkeeping here. But hey, if any accountants are perhaps watching this and maybe I've got it wrong, let me know in the comment section below. Let's continue.
The request for the upliftment of funds were made. Now, as I said, if you're looking at excluding this amount of 177, the amount of 179 million rand, we are left with 441 million rand. That was the expenditure for 2024-2025. 22% was spent in the quarter one of the financial year under the previous administration, which means...
So just to clarify, the financial year for municipalities runs from the 1st of July until the end of June the following year. And so Brink was removed as mayor on the 28th of September of last year. And so for the first quarter, the DA-led coalition was still in power. That's what the current mayor is referring to.
Means the amount that this administration is going to account for where the city manager will come in is the amount of 342 million, and we'll show how we got to that figure.
All right, so just below we see an ex post from EWN, which simplifies all these figures for us. So of the 777 million, 179 comes from accruals. Again, I'm already a little bit confused by that. Regarding the disputed invoices, we see that 156 million rand was attributed to this, which doesn't really make sense in my mind. Was a transaction created or not? And was an invoice submitted for that transaction? I don't see why that's such a difficult question to answer. That seems pretty fishy. And then, of course, there's the 98 million rand of the figure that was spent during Q1, which is, of course, when former Mayor Brink was still in charge. A little later in the day, Cilliers Brink posted on X, and I quote, "I'm at the public protector laying a complaint for possible fraud in water tanker invoices that were paid. Only 381 million of the 777 million spent on water tankers was accounted for on 30th of June 2025, the end of the fiscal year." And this, of course, is the fiscal year during which Nasipi Moya took over as mayor. The rest of the invoices were received after the books were closed. I'm not entirely certain if that includes the disputed invoices that Dr. Nasipi Moya was alluding to. It could, but we'll have to see. We're taking this fight to the public protector because Tshwane residents deserve honesty, transparency, and leadership that protects every cent, not politicians who treat public money like their own. He later followed up by reposting another X post. So as we can see here, it is a screenshot from a budget, I'm assuming from the accounting software that's being used by the municipality. And it explains that drawn today, 23rd of October, direct from cost center, Moya has already spent 211 million rand of the 236 million budget that has been allocated for this quarter. There are still 2 months left. And if we zoom into it, we see that the date is indeed the 23rd of the 10th, 2025. And as we can see, bulk water services, the amount that's been spent is 211 million, 198,011 out of a consumable budget of 236,966,535. And what's really important to note here is that sure, the investigation is ongoing. Nobody knows what will be found, but this certainly doesn't bode well for Moya. She and ActionSA are being accused of overspending on water tankers. And again, we see here that indeed overspending is happening during the current quarter as well. So it certainly doesn't look good. Ultimately, we're going to have to wait to see what the public protector says and what other investigations might find out as well. Still, no matter who is actually correct here, there's a disturbing trend that has been ongoing in this municipality, which is the overuse of water tankers instead of fixing the actual water system within the city. So earlier this month, the Freedom Front Plus highlighted this in a press release. As we can see in the release, they explain the Tshwane Metro pays 1 cent a litre for water, but it costs 10 cents a litre to have it delivered with water tankers. According to the Metro's Public Accounts Committee report, the price of water increases tenfold if delivered by tankers. And so, as we can see here, the Freedom Front Plus took this figure directly from the report, and this isn't something that they themselves have contrived. This issue is spoken about by the DA in Gauteng in their own press release. So as they explain, in Hammanskraal, which is in Tshwane, tankers have been deployed permanently for a number of years due to the non-potable quality of the water, and this is due to pollution. But in 2023, the city partnered with Magali's Water, and a package plant was built on the Pienaars River to give Hammanskraal residents potable tap water. They continue. In fact, the launch of the first phase of this project in January 2025 should have reduced the city's water tanker bill. Even taking into account the setbacks and delays on the project during the course of this year, it does not explain an increase in water tanker spending by the city. Now, of course, this issue has persisted even during the years that the DA led the coalition in Tshwane. Still, it begs the question, if something was being done to deliver potable tap water to the residents, why is it that the ActionSA-led coalition continues to insist on water tankers? Why is it that they are not forwarding this project to ensure that residents are able to receive drinkable tap water, regardless of what the previous administration did? As we just saw in the Freedom Front's press release, water tankers are costing people 10 times more than what tap water would cost them if it was fixed. And ultimately, we need to remember that, sure, it's the City of Tshwane that seems to be paying for this. But where are they getting their money? They're getting their money in their budget from the ratepayers, from the residents of the city. And so this constant use of water tankers is not only a temporary solution to a long-term problem, but it is also costing the taxpayer an unnecessary, exorbitant amount of money, when in actual fact, the issue remains unsolved at its core. Thanks very much for tuning into this video. If you found it insightful, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content. Until next time, I'm Matthew Cohen, and this is the Power Pod.